Good evening, and welcome to the Linfield School Committee meeting for Tuesday, November 17th. I need to let everyone know that this meeting is being recorded and televised on our local cable television station. Can we please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, thank you all for being here. Our first item on the agenda are the minutes presented for approval for the regular meeting on November 3rd and the executive session meeting on October 2nd. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve the regular meeting minutes of November 3rd, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, an executive.
Move to approve the minutes from the executive session on October 20th?
Second.
October 2nd, not even close, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes pass. Thank you. Our next item is a glimpse into the classroom for English language arts.
So this is our second glimpse into the classroom for the year, and we have our three department people. We have Maureen Fennessy, who is our English Language Arts Curriculum Director from the elementary schools. We have Kate Robertson, who is our Curriculum Director from the middle school, and we also have Mary Ellen Annabelli, who is our department head at the high school. And I believe, from the looks of things, the elementary is going to kick it off. So Maureen Fennessy, I'm going to send it right over to you.
Hi, good evening. Thanks again for welcoming us to the meeting to share a glimpse into the English Language Arts classroom. Today you're going to hear from different levels about reading standard number 1, which is a standard that follows children from 3rd grade all the way through 12th grade. And what this standard calls for is for students to be able to read closely to determine what the text says, and having to explicitly know what the text says and to make logical inferences from it, citing specific textual evidence when writing or speaking to support conclusions drawn from the text. So it's really that idea of digging deeper into the text and citing explicit evidence from the text. And I have some students and a teacher here from Huckleberry Hill that will talk a bit more about what we're using to support students at the 3rd grade level. Because at the 3rd grade level, students are asked to ask and answer questions to demonstrate an understanding of a text, referring explicitly to the text as the basis for answers. So, as I had mentioned, we have Abby Miles to my right, and Nicholas Lozada, and Ms. Lynn McCumber, 3rd grade teacher at Huckleberry Hill School. Question-answer relationships is an instructional strategy that we use to meet the needs of this standard. It is a research-based strategy developed by Catherine Ah and Taffy Raphael. It has repeated research, so the latest body of research was from 2005, but the original work was done in the 80s. And it's a strategy to be used after students have read. And QAR teaches students how to decipher what types of questions they are being asked and exactly how and where to find the answers to those questions. All of our elementary classrooms have the same visual as far as the QAR strategy and what it outlines, and it really highlights the ideas for the students to be able to use the strategy effectively. And it's nice to have that same visual within different classrooms and different small group areas across the building, because the students know what to expect when they see this and can be prompted to use the strategy effectively. So now I'd like to ask Mrs. McCumber to talk a little bit about the lessons that we did in her class and the work that the children will share today.
Thank you. So what we were focusing on in 3rd grade was looking to answer questions just referring back explicitly to the text, or in the book we call them. So the third grade teachers collaborated on this lesson, and we wanted to use an authentic text. So we decided to choose our read aloud book, which is Clementine by Sarah Pennypacker. And the reason why we chose it was that we knew it was of high interest to the students, so something that we know they're enjoying, and also that it would be accessible to all the students because it was something that we had read aloud and discussed in class. So after we read the chapter together, students were each given a copy of the text as well so that they had it, and a series of questions they had to answer. And they had to decide, as they were answering the questions, was it a right there question, meaning could they find their evidence in one spot, or are they going to have to think and search, which means to look in a couple different spots in the text to find their answers. And Abby and Nicholas are going to share with you how they were able to do this and to find their answers by using the text.
I'm going to share how I found the answer to question number 1. The question was, what were Clementine's 2 lucky signs on Monday? I went to the second page and skimmed the text until I found the answers. It is a think and search question because information is in more than one place. I put stars in the places that I found the information. The answer is, one lucky sign is that there were exactly enough banana slices in her cereal to have one on every spoonful. The second lucky sign is Clementine was one of the excused students during journal writing. She could go to the art room and work on her Welcome to the Future project.
I am going to share how I found the answer to question number 2. What is Margaret working on in the art room? I looked at page number 2 and found information in one place. It is a right there question. I marked the information with an X. The answer is Margaret is working on a Princess from the Future mask.
We are very excited to learn more about QAR strategies. We have been focusing on in-the-book questions in class.
In my head, questions might be hard, but I'm sure we will have a chance to learn more and practice them.
Do you have any questions about QAR strategies?
How long have you been using the QAR?
How long, Abby?
Maybe this is like probably like the 3rd week.
Yeah, I would say
About the
exactly
third week.
about the 3rd week.
Right, it's great.
Thank you.
It is a strategy that is introduced at the primary grades, but not to this level where we're asking the students to take that upon themselves and independently find out what type of question is being asked and exactly where to support, to find that evidence to support their answer. But they're doing a great job. We're off to a great start.
It's fantastic.
So, Maureen, can I just ask a question? When you say it's introduced at the primary grades, is that basically the teachers modeling it for the students, like during read aloud and whatnot?
Exactly.
Okay.
Most of it would be in read aloud, sometimes in guided reading lessons. If the students are being asked a question, even that first part of this QAR framework, will we find the answer to that question in our book, in the book, or will that be a question that the answer will have to come from our head? And it's being done in that manner,
Right.
where the teachers are doing a lot of that modeling, showing how they would go back to find an answer. I think at some levels in 2nd grade, teachers are using this chart and starting to introduce the other subtopics. Had you seen it in 2nd grade?
No, I haven't.
You hadn't? Right. But it is something that is being used regularly in our 3rd and 4th grade classrooms for sure.
Great, thank you.
That's great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abby and Nicholas, for taking the night to come out and talk to us.
Good evening. So I have Theo Harrington and Grayson Wainwright to talk about this standard. And I do want to say it is what I feel one of the most important standards that we teach the students, because many of the other English standards actually involve this standard where we're citing text to support a claim, so it can impact our writing, it can impact our speaking, and then any claim that we would make based on literature. So if we were doing a character analysis, which is a different reading standard, we would cite the text to support our answer based on that. What it looks like oftentimes in assessments when we're looking at more part-like type questions, it would be a part A of a question might ask the student, what is an inference drawn from the text? And then part B is to select the sentence or sentences that best support the answer to part A. So that's kind of what it looks like in assessment. And at the middle school, we've been practicing questions like that in class. We've also been adding questions like that to our common assessments that we've been given. So we've had a lot of practice that way. We've also built upon some of the QAR from the elementary school so that we have posters like that in our English classrooms, and then use that same common language when we're looking at questions. Okay, is that it in my head question? Is it in the book question? So we have these students talking to us about how we use this standard, or how it looks in our Socratic seminars.
We are presenting Reading Standard 1, which in 8th grade is cite the textual evidence that most strongly supports an analysis of what the text says explicitly, as well as inferences drawn from the text. Today you'll get to see a look into our grade 8 English classroom and learn about the process of Socratic seminars.
By 8th grade, we must always support our answers to questions using citations from a text. We have been taught to use citations in both writing and speaking. In Socratic seminars, everything we say must be supported by the text. In order to successfully participate, we must do a lot of planning. Rita will talk about how we did this with our summer reading.
We read a novel, Bystander by James Preller. After we finished, our teacher gave us some higher-level thinking questions that didn't have right or wrong answers, as long as we could support our answer with text. On Google Drive, our teacher posted several citations we might be able to use to support our answers either way, and we also used an ACID organizer to explain our answers. We wrote our answers to the question using some suggested citations. Then we chose a citation for each question. Question 7 asked why individuals are more likely to help alone than when they are in groups. The citation I selected was when the character Mary says, "I knew it was wrong," she said, sniffling. "I heard those guys talking, but I was too much of a coward to stand up to them. I could have warned you." I chose this citation because it showed that she was afraid to help in a group.
In the actual seminar, we could refer to our written answers, but also found that some citations could be used to answer or support other questions. When I prepared my answer to question 2, which asked why people may want to befriend a bully, I selected a specific citation to answer to support my answer. However, when we actually discussed this question in the seminar, I ended up using a citation I had used to support a different question. We found that the right citation could support several different answers. Through this process, we have learned ways to enhance our claims about what a text truly is saying.
We have also learned how to develop our analysis of a text through the process of an ACID organizer and make our responses more logical for the reader or listener to understand.
The Socratic seminar gave us an opportunity to hear how other peers might interpret a text differently and to be able to respond using different text to support opposing views.
This experience made the students of 8th grade more open-minded that a question can be interpreted in many interesting and unique ways as long as the text backs it up.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you enjoyed our glimpse into the 8th grade English classroom and learning about what we do in our Socratic seminars.
We'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Can you just tell me a little bit more about the Socratic seminar? You said you got to listen to other people's ideas. Like, what was the format? How did it work?
So for Socratic seminars, we got citations, then we used them through a graphic organizer, and then we put them together in a paragraph, and then we shared our ideas with our peers, and we agreed and added on to our peers' ideas.
However, we weren't limited to just, we couldn't only read off. We could build on others' ideas, and we could end up talking about a different event in the book than the question was asked because of the way the conversation had led.
So is this a like a large group or, one-on-one type of conversation or?
Yes. So what they do is they have two circles in the class, and they have an inside circle that would be the speakers. So it's about half the class, and they have a conversation with one another while they're really practicing speaking and listening skills. You can see from the rules there that they're having to respond to one another. That you can't just have your own agenda to answer the question. That you actually have to listen, and you might have prepared something with a citation, but then on the spot you realize you have to change what you were originally thinking to actually respond to what people have asked you. So there's a whole bunch of actually conversation starters that the teachers have given the students, and they start in grade 5 and we build upon them each year. So in grade 5, when they do book clubs, they use these conversation starters, and then by 8th grade they're doing it in the big circle. While you can see in this picture here, the student is actually tallying a person they're responsible for in the inner circle. So what they would do is keep track of how many times that person has participated, how many times that person has referred to the text, and then halfway through that person gets to meet with the person in the middle and say, this is what I've noticed about what you've done so far. It's extensively modeled, and then the kids switch roles, and then the kids who are on the outside go to the inside, and the teachers tally it. It's actually part of our DDM for grade 8, so they keep track. This was sort of their baseline at the beginning of the year with their summer reading, and then each quarter they will do another Socratic seminar with increasingly difficult questions with different topics throughout the year.
Did you guys find that you're using these strategies and these skills in other classes outside of this Socratic seminar?
We use them in social studies a lot, and depending on the situation, sometimes in math and science, and maybe in Spanish or foreign language. Yeah, we use them in other classes.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight and sharing all this with us. We really appreciate it.
Now we have thank you. You will see many of the same types of strategies carried over into the high school level, but the difference now that you'll see is that students are not only citing from the text, but they're now coming to their own inferences. And this particular course that we're looking at is a grade 11 advanced placement language and composition course. In this particular course, they're looking at different types of rhetoric and whether they're effective arguments according to the textual evidence that they find within the work. And on this particular strand, it's to cite strong and thorough textual evidence to support analysis of what the text says explicitly, as well as inferences drawn from the text. And tonight I have with you Brian Brasilesco and William Klotzbier, and they are from Mrs. Erica Buchholz's AP language course. And I am actually going to let them begin.
All right, so the assignment was we got this letter that a woman, it's a true, letter that someone actually wrote, and her name is Mary Ewald, and she was writing to Saddam Hussein in Iraq, and basically her son was taken hostage in Iraq, and he was used as a human soldier, like a shield for the soldiers in Iraq, and she was writing to Saddam Hussein to try to convince him to return her son and let him be free again. And so we had to read this letter that she sent, and after we read it, we took these double column notes, which was, one column is the purpose, what the writer of the letter is trying to do, in this case persuade Saddam Hussein, and then the other column is the strategies she uses to try to get her purpose. And basically there are these 3 main appeals that she uses in her letter: ethos, pathos, and logos. And ethos is like when she tries to convince like the audience that she's a reliable person, like you can trust her, you should listen to what she has to say, like you should believe her. Pathos is involves like appeals to emotion, so like trying to gain the sympathy of the audience so then they believe you more and trust you. And then logos involves like logic, reasoning, facts like that. And then by using logos, like the reasoning can be seen by the audience, and then like they'll want to believe you more. And so basically, that was the idea of the assignment. And now I will read the letter. So Mary Ewald writes, "Dear Mr. President, I am writing to you to send my student son, Thomas Hart Benton Ewald, home to his family. He was taken, I think, from the SAS Hotel in Kuwait City. I feel I have the obligation to appeal to you for 2 reasons. First, my family has been a staunch friend to the Arabs. My husband, Tom's father, was on the White House staff when President Eisenhower caused the French, British, and Israelis to pull out of Suez. One of the first non-Arab meetings at the Washington Mosque was the one which I, as president of the Radcliffe Harvard Club of Washington, arranged to explain Muslim culture. I am also a poet who has written about Arabia. I have sent my youngest, well-loved son to work in an Arab country, hoping he would help bring peace between our cultures. Instead, after 2 days, he was caught up in war. It seems unjust that I, who have given to you so generously, should have my son taken away from me in return. You have the power to right that wrong. Second, my son is asthmatic, so severely crippled as a child that we thought we could never raise him. He needs medication in a doctor's care. I beg you, in the name of Allah, let my son go. Yours truly, Mary Ewald."
Okay. So what we had to do is we all had to, in our class, we individually read the letter by ourselves, and then we went through and we marked it up, and on the back we took 2 column notes. On one side was purpose, and the other side was the strategies Mary Ewald used to convey her purpose. So, do you mind if I borrow this? Thank you. So, I went through line by line as I was reading, I marked it up, and then when I was done, I went back and I reviewed, the ethos, the pathos, and the logos, and then I made my notes. So, her purpose was obviously to release, have Saddam, oh my God. Thank you. Have Saddam Hussein release her son. So, a very evident fact was that Mary Ewald, she never put the blame on Saddam Hussein. She used sentences like, he was taken, not you took him from me, and where was it? Have my son taken away from me. She never placed the blame on Saddam Hussein. She just said, he got caught up in this. And then the second paragraph, as she was talking about, in the second paragraph, she really established her authority and her experience with how do I want to say this? She asserted her authority about how she really knew, Okay, so she says she was this leader of all these clubs. She was a poet who wrote about Arabia. She really knows the culture and the what's going on over there. So she's saying, I have the authority. You should listen to me. I know what's going on over there. So then in the third paragraph, actually, she says she really appeals to the emotion when she says, my son is asthmatic, so severely crippled as a child, we thought we could never raise him. And it's really reaching him that, we didn't think we could have him as a baby, but, through miracles and whatever, he was able to live and have his life. And then it just seems so cruel to have him taken away from me now after what we thought would have been the hardest part was over, now to have him taken away from you. And then she appeals to his religion by saying, in the name of Allah, let my son go. She uses a very respectful tone in talking to him. As I mentioned, it's not. She's not in no way placing blame on him. It's very respectful and well reasoned. She doesn't go on for pages on pages, crying her heart out. She's very organized and has her point and doesn't let her emotions overtake the message she's trying to convey to him. What did I forget? Strategies. That's what I've been going through. Yes. So word choice. Oh, there was specific word choices she used during her letter. Like she said, "I sent you my son," almost like a sacrifice, and she was providing him with a valuable resource. So again, she's being very respectful to him and not letting her emotions take complete control over the message she's trying to send to win her son back. I think that's about it.
So then,
thank you for putting up with that.
So then, after we went through the strategies and the purpose and the 2-column notes, our teacher asked us to say whether we thought this argument was effective, like whether it worked, and it turns out that the letter actually did work, and she got her son back, and he was free. And we all agreed that like the ethos, pathos, and logos appeals to those 3 things. Like they were effective and they worked, and they were like convincing. But the majority of the class, like we didn't really think that something like this could happen. Like Saddam Hussein would actually release her son because he's like the leader of Iraq and he's like an authoritative power, and we didn't really think that he would do something like this. But it shows like how powerful like language can be, like using appeals to these 3 things in order to like get your point across. So that was basically the assignment, and that's it. And thank you.
And then thank you. And as you can see, at the AP language level, what you're doing is now you're taking the strategies that have been built upon over the different levels, and they're now applying it to the text. And thank you. That's it. And then coming up with whether it's an effective argument or not, as you can see here. Any questions about the material or the type of a course? I know in general, what your class, you said at first when you read the letter, you identified it as you didn't think it was an effective argument because you felt that for a parent who had their child overseas like this in a hostage situation, the letter should have been more flamboyant and longer. But then once looking at the strategies and the effective use of an argument, you felt otherwise.
Just was the ethos, pathos, and logos identified for you, or did you have to read the letter and determine what strategies were used in the letter?
It wasn't provided for us. We went through and we read it, and then as we were reading it, we would think to ourselves, "Oh, this is an appeal to the emotion. The mother's using pathos. She's being being an authoritative figure, and really letting us what she knows and why you should trust her, and that's ethos." And moving on from there. Thank you.
I just want to thank all the students and all the principals, but all the teachers as well for doing this. This is not easy. We say this a lot, but you guys all did a really nice job. I think the thing that I am most impressed with, and probably more so than any of our glimpses in the classroom yet, is just how all of this, you can see how all of this just fits together. And you can see how the elementary strategies are feeding into the middle school strategies, which feed into the high school strategies. So it's you guys represented the ELA really nicely.
I suspect you hesitate a bit now when trying to argue with your parents about which strategy you want to use. So watch out at home.
This is coming to you.
I learned a few things myself. So thank you very much for coming out tonight. We really appreciate it. It was great.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the extended field studies trip to New York.
So Steve Bloom is here from the middle school, and he will come up and share his thoughts with you.
Hello. Okay. Before I start tonight, I should mention these absolutely fantastic success that last year's tour was. In addition to performing at the Busch Gardens theme park, we also did a 75-minute performance at the Kimball Theater of Colonial Williamsburg. And the concert featured American music of different eras connecting both Virginia and Massachusetts. And much like our first performance there in 2007, the audience leapt to its feet at the end of the night. And there were many happy tears of joy backstage following the evening. And a lot of the kids loved it so much that they really wanted to do it again this year. And I said, no, we do different things. And so what do we do for an encore? Well, it's been some time since we have been to New York City, and it has been the most frequent of our destinations. Beginning in the year 2000, the group has traveled to New York a total of 6 times, both for performing and for cultural enrichment. We have given 5 performances at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine, including a guest choir slot, 2 performances at the United Nations, and most recently at Trinity Church Wall Street as part of their recital series, the same church that was featured in the movie National Treasure, if you know that movie. I like to do all the performance booking myself when it comes to these trips. It saves parents money, and it allows me to be in direct touch with the people involved. And thanks to the group's reputation, booking most cities is relatively straightforward. New York, however, is not, because there's a lot of competition for only a limited number of spaces. And admittedly, I have lost a few friends down there to other jobs in other parts of the country. The music director at St. John the Divine, for example, is now on the West Coast. So we could do a great trip to Oregon, but not to New York. So I've put together a trip this year with 3 brand new venues, and each of them I think you will find is rather spectacular and very culturally relevant. The USS Intrepid was a World War II era and Vietnam era aircraft carrier that has since been converted into essentially an aerospace museum. Its flight deck is used also not only to show off their collection of airplanes, but it has been used as a concert space on popular television shows and even Hollywood movie premieres. We get their stage on the flight deck, which is really amazing. And I'm also told that our visit happens to coincide with New York Fleet Week. So if it's anything like our last visit there where we just went, we didn't perform, we will likely be performing for many visiting sailors and military families. And naturally, our programming will reflect this. I'm planning on doing a salute to our servicemen and women, as well as music that reflects the ship's history. And the beauty of this gig is also, if the weather happens to be rainy, they can just take us inside the boat. It's that simple. On Sunday, thanks to a good friend of mine, the group will serve as guest choir for the morning service at St. Malachy's Church. It's on West 49th Street, and it's often called the Actors Chapel because of the rather astonishing number of celebrity parishioners it's had over the years. We have been asked to serve as guest choir there for the Sunday morning service, collaborating with their musicians, and this continues a tradition that we have done in many of our cities, including New York and Montreal. And as is my custom, I plan on going to New York ahead of time to discuss musical details with their music director, probably in January, and basically what they expect of us. As many of you know, I approach these kinds of gigs with my students as an opportunity for real-world experience. Many singers, including myself, when I don't sound like a bullfrog, take church gigs regardless of their denomination because it's an opportunity for a consistent job in the rather inconsistent musical world. I view it as a learning experience, nothing more. And if a student feels uncomfortable singing in a particular denomination, they can opt out of doing the performance. It's as simple as that. I should also mention that St. Malachy's contacted me in the last few days. The itinerary you have there is the most recent one, and it will be changed to reflect this. We have to be there early on Sunday morning. And with a possible Broadway show the night before, I thought that doesn't leave a lot of time for sleeping. So we're going to flip flop things around a little bit. The Broadway show will be moved to Sunday afternoon as a matinee. I like having happy, healthy, well rested singers, particularly for a gig of such importance. Finally, the third venue is a venue you all know, Lincoln Center. They offer an outdoor performance opportunity for schools called the Young Music Makers. They're held on the Josie Robinson Plaza in front of the Metropolitan Opera building. We would be performing in the same plaza you've probably seen in movies like Ghostbusters, The Producers, that sort of thing. And considering the venue, it's all too appropriate to do maybe a little bit of opera-related programming and have a little fun with that. We'll also be touring Lincoln Center as part of the whole experience. The prices I've given you include hotel accommodations, some of the meals, coach bus transportation throughout the weekend. One of the meals is at a venue that I think is all too appropriate for these kids, Ellen's Stardust Diner, where the waitstaff sings Broadway show tunes, in addition to serving you your meal. We also get to see some other famous attractions like the Radio City Music Hall tour and a Broadway show ticket as part of the deal. As is my policy whenever we go to New York, I always like to have them see something they can't see here. So I always choose a show that is, for them, at least the moment, New York only. That way you can't say, it's less likely that the kids will say, oh, I've seen that already, And most likely it will probably be Disney. It's always age appropriate and family friendly. And Disney has an amazing sense of stagecraft and music. The dates I've chosen were given to me as a spring weekend that didn't conflict with testing, major holidays, or school events. And of course, safety is paramount. The New York of 2015, as I'm sure you all are all aware, is a far cry from the city that we all grew up with. And as always, we do have a pull-out plan in place with a tour company. If world conditions are not advisable for such a tour, we do have the option of canceling with minimal loss of parent funding. About all they would have to pay for is the cost of a theater ticket. And with the help of parents, I will organize necessary fundraisers. I feel that this is, quite literally going home, as a matter of speaking, sort of a second home for this group. Taking kids who are interested in the performing arts to New York City is such a logical thing. It is a center of what we do, and it's an opportunity for them to collaborate and make music on the world's biggest stage. It's that simple. It's one thing to go sightseeing. It's another thing to actually, meet the musicians and collaborate and have a great time. And these are three, I think, fantastic musical venues and a great opportunity for the group. And if it would help your decision, I am more than happy to ask individual parents who've been on these tours to contact you about their experience, like maybe these two. Just don't wear that hat when you're down there. Okay. Okay. So, can I answer any questions?
No, is Monday a school day, or is that a holiday? Is it
Yes, it is a school day.
Monday. Okay.
It wouldn't be in Canada, I think. In the past, we've chosen that weekend. That's we get a lot of Quebec tourists down in New York at that time. Lots of French-Canadian tour buses, but in America it is. So.
Sounds like a lot is packed into one weekend. So
oh yeah.
Sounds like a great trip.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they'll be busy learning a lot of different kinds of music this year.
Yeah, yeah. We're going to vary it all up and down the map. For the Intrepid, we do World War II era stuff. A lot of like Ellington swing music, service medley, that sort of thing. I've got a little opera thing up my sleeve, easy fun opera, entertaining stuff. No Viking helmets allowed, and so it should be fun.
Okay, excellent. Well, we vote on. Oh, I'm sorry.
So, Steve, the Broadway show is going to be bumped from Saturday night to Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
And where is it going to be slotted Sunday afternoon? Do you know that yet?
That's a very good question.
Something's going to be bumped out Sunday afternoon. You got 3 p.m. Radio City
What we
Music
can
Hall.
do, is we can move things over, shuffle things around a little bit. The observation decks, for example, are open into the evening. And It's more fun to go up on the observation decks at night anyway. So.
All right, just curious about that. Thank you, Stephen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Broadway shows typically on Sundays have a 3 o'clock matinee. So.
Okay, well, we'll vote at the next meeting,
Of course.
but if you need to collect funds or whatever, does anyone have any objection to that?
That would be great.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get
Thank
started
you.
right away.
Thank you very much.
Great, Steve.
Okay, the next item on the agenda are the collaborative updates.
Okay.
Which Jane and Kara
So,
are gonna handle.
Kara is going to come up, Kara Morrow, our Director of Special Services, is going to come to the table And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the two collaboratives that we belong to in terms of the managing part of it. And then Kara will share with you how we utilize each of the collaboratives to help service the students in our district. So the first collaborative that we belong to is SEAM Collaborative. The executive director is Kathy Lawson. Kara, I was trying to think today, how long has Kathy been the director? It's been over 10 years, hasn't it? No?
I don't know if it's been quite 10 years.
No, okay.
Yeah, I would say more. I would say closer to like 7.
Okay.
6
Okay.
maybe.
She's been there a while.
I know I've been in Linfield about it'll be 5 years in March, and she was in place when I started. So
Okay.
I would say maybe like 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are 9 member districts that belong to SEAM: North Reading, Reading, Woburn, Winchester, Stoneham, Melrose, Saugus, and Wilmington. And now Kara's going to share with you some of the highlights from this collaborative and how we use it in our district.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me tonight. We continue to maintain an excellent working relationship with SEAM Collaborative. As Jean said, they have 5 campuses. The campus that we tend to reach out to the most would be the SEAM Campus Academy, which is located in Stoneham. That building houses the SEAM Middle School, the high school, as well as their assessment center. And that we typically reach out to them if we're struggling with students who are having emotional needs, behavioral needs that we can't meet. We've also used that assessment center as an option as an interim alternative setting in response to any disciplinary action that we might need to take. Their clinical team is phenomenal. We've used them to help us problem solve, to consult on cases, to help us transition students back into the district who have had a difficult time. So that, I would say in terms of the programs that SEAM has to offer, that tends to be the one that we tap into the most. As the other programs they have, we have programs within the district that can serve a similar purpose. We also use them to contract in other providers where we have, we don't have many students that require these services, but they're a need. So like a teacher with visually impaired, we've contracted out to SEAM for that. We've also continued to contract out for SEAM for home-based therapy, ABA-based home therapy to help our students develop daily living skills at home. And they're great at keeping a strong connection to our school-based programs too, so there's that consistency and approach, which has been really, really nice. We also will, with both collaboratives, we tap into them for professional development as well. SEAM hosts a yearly legal conference. We have our job-alike groups with special ed directors, team chair people, school psychologists. They're great at getting district leaders in those areas together to problem solve and share resources, share concerns, and basically problem solve together, which is great. We're actually working with SEAM on December 11th for an upcoming professional development opportunity. Jessica Minahan, author of the Behavior Code, she's a fabulous presenter that's extremely she's very high interest to a lot of our special education staff, and I got several requests to attend her conference, and we worked with SEAM and worked it out that, you know, if we could host the workshop, which we're doing at Linfield Middle School. It gave us an opportunity to send a huge amount of our staff to that workshop, which is going to be great. So that's happening on December 11th, and I would say there's probably about 40 of our special ed staff who will be in attendance, 30 to 40 maybe, that are showing interest in that. Do you want to jump to North Shore?
Yeah, I'll jump. Okay, so the second collaborative we belong to is NEC, and that's in Beverly, and the executive director there is Fran Rosenberg. This is her 2nd year as executive director. There are 17 member districts to this collaborative: Tri-Town, Peabody, Manchester, Essex, Marblehead, Rockport, Gloucester, Hamilton, Wenham, Beverly, Swampscott, Triton, Danvers, Reading, Salem, Masconomet, Lynn, and North Reading. So it has a bigger board. And Kara will share with you what we tap into them for our students.
Yep. So I would say the program that we tend to tap into the most from North Shore would be their North Shore Academy program. They have a lower and an upper school. They've actually just they just opened up a brand new building, which is next to their home base on Sawyer Road in Beverly, and it's a beautiful new facility that is meeting the needs of students at the middle school and the high school level. They do have other programs, but similar to SEAM, we haven't needed to utilize those programs because we've been able to develop in-district programs that will serve a similar purpose. Their transition programs are high interest to me, and I think will be higher interest to a lot of our families as their students get into that 18 to 22 age group. They've done a nice job of developing transition programs that are on site at either Salem State or Gordon College is the other one, where they have college-based programs where students can be on site at a college, but also get academic support at their level, community-based work, vocational training, to really build up those independent skills with students from other districts. So those are definitely programs that I'm interested in, Linfield utilizing in years to come, just because, peer group is everything, and we tend to not have, as many students to really get into a full-on transition program here in Linfield, so it will be nice for us to tap into those types of programs for our students who require our services until the age of 22. We also have used, we've gotten creative with both of our collaboratives just in terms of going case by case and we trying to utilize a different perspective. So we've had their clinical staff consult on some of our cases. Same thing with SEAM. We've gotten creative when we needed to and had their clinical team come on site to conduct assessments as opposed to sending our students out. When students are vulnerable and they're having a difficult time emotionally, to change things and have them leave their home school can be challenging. So they're great about working with us to accommodate individual student needs. Again, in terms of professional development, both collaboratives joined up this past summer to meet the needs that several districts are facing in terms of mental health issues. They ran a mental health conference that was a 2-day event that was held in August, and several of the districts that are part of North Shore and SEAM attended, sent staff. We sent about 10 of our staff people there, and there were several different breakout sessions related to all mental health issues, trauma, depression, suicide. There was several different speakers who were on site there to help educate our teachers, because I would say this is a big crisis that not only Linfield is facing, but several other of our surrounding districts. So any opportunity we can all get together and problem solve and figure out ways to better serve our students is helpful. And Jane and I actually, we did speak out at one of the breakout sessions, and we highlighted some of the efforts that Linfield is doing to meet the needs of this population of students, and that was well received. And then just on a really nice note, I know Jane brought this up, I think, at one of the superintendent reports, but Huckleberry Hill has collaborated with the Kevin O'Grady School to develop a buddy program, which has just been an exceptional opportunity. So Kevin O'Grady is one of North Shore Education Consortium's programs that's meeting the needs of students who have global developmental delays, who are medically fragile, and their teachers had reached out to our public school districts and asked if anyone would be interested in doing like a reverse inclusion type thing where their students could come to a public school setting and become friends with students in a public school. And Brian Bemis jumped on the opportunity, and his second grade team did as well. So those 4 teachers and their classes are participating in this program, and the students come to Huckleberry Hill and they play games, they sing songs, they do activities. And I happened to walk in on one of the sessions, and it was absolutely beautiful to see the students of Linfield and their collaboration with these kids and bringing smiles to their face. One of the teachers said that one of the students had been sick all week, and she said, "Oh, this is the first time he smiled all week." It was just so nice. So it was really great to see. Really great to see. So I think that's it overall. But we tend to have a wonderful relationship with both of our collaboratives, and we're really using them for in a lot of different creative ways.
Quick question, Kara. Thanks for being here this evening. The collaboration with Kevin O'Grady, how often does that happen? What's that schedule like?
I believe it's happening. They did an introductory type thing where they talked to the students, they talked to the teachers, and I think it's turning out to be like a monthly thing.
It's actually once a week.
Is it once a week? Oh my gosh, it's even more than I thought.
Okay,
that's
I think
wonderful.
it's Wednesday afternoons. I think they were going to start out with a monthly thing, but then they were so excited about it, and they really felt like it was benefiting our students as much as it was benefiting the students.
That's going to continue throughout the year, Jane?
Yes, Brian's actually hoping that it's going to be a program that all of his kids will go through when they get into second grade. And I have to just reiterate what Kara said. I had an opportunity to also see that in action, and just to see the joy on our students' faces too, as they were
They were
helping
amazing.
students with crafts and helping them with music. It was really beautiful, and really building empathy and compassion and tolerance and all of those things that we strive so desperately for our students to have when they graduate from Linfield High School. They're learning in second grade right here and now, so it's pretty impressive.
And how many students come over from the Kevin O'Grady School?
I think it's a smaller class. I think there's probably about 6 to 7 maybe. About that, yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, so it was really nice.
Other questions? It sounds like we're using them in all sorts of capacities, so
Yeah.
thank you for
Absolutely.
the update.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is a report on the MASC votes at the conference. Jamie, you wanna
All right.
circle back around to that?
Yes, so I will go through each of these. There were 7 resolutions that were up for vote. Really interesting discussion on some of them, and I'll go through them pretty quickly. Resolution 1 was regarding high school starting times, and this was brought by the Newton School Committee. And really what it wants to look at is do a study on different start times, changing the start times to allow kids to have more sleep. It passed unanimously. I talked to the Newton School Committee, the person from the Newton School Committee afterwards, and they're going to be emailing us the results of that study and anything else that they find along those lines. Resolution 2 was it was basically advocating for underserved population of school children. Not much discussion on this, passed unanimously. So we got through the first 2, and I thought we were going to fly through this. And then we got to resolution number 3, which was the resolution tying test scores to Chapter 70 funding. And there was a lot of discussion about this. Most interestingly was Quincy School District proposed a significant amendment on this, calling for a full moratorium on high-stakes standardized testing. It was ultimately ruled, they ultimately ruled that it was out of order and not necessarily related to this. So the resolution itself passed as it was written, which applied the Chapter 70 funding to the MCAS scores. But they also did a straw vote, a straw poll, unofficial, non-binding, however many ways you want to say that, on this resolution calling for the moratorium. I was surprised it passed by a vote of 66-42, which just gave a little bit of a view into what the climate is out there with other school districts regarding high-stakes standardized testing. I was one of the 42 who voted no on that one. Resolution 4 was placement based on having a home district for homeless families, and this had a lot of discussion. It ended up passing near unanimously. A lot of this didn't impact Linfield as much. It was a lot of districts were discussing it where they had a lot of hotels, motels, rural districts where students are moving around every 70 to 90 days. Resolution 5 was a tax reform ballot question. So this asked to support a ballot question in 2018 that would increase the income tax for earners over $1 million. And you can imagine there was a lot of discussion about this. The petition itself has not been written, so the specifics of it are not, the ballot question has not been written, and nor has the funding, where the funding would go, has not been determined. Additionally, it would have to be passed, in order for it to happen, it would have to it would have to pass the ballot question, and then it would have to be approved by 2 consecutive legislative sessions. So a lot of hurdles to jump through. Because of the petition had not been laid out yet, and there was so much gray area, and especially where the funding was going to go, I ended up voting no on this one, and this one failed by a 62 to 50 vote. The last 2 were went pretty quickly. One was adding membership of a school committee member to the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. You can imagine there was a lot of support for that. So this one actually was amended and passed unanimously. The amendment just added language that said, that urged to strike the law prohibiting school committees and licensed educators from the Board of Education. And then the last one was a resolution relative to teaching strategies and goal assessments for kindergarten students. A little bit of discussion about this. There were a number of people who deliver those assessments who are also on school committees, which was interesting. Really, the discussion was school districts want to be able to have more say in what they're doing, and I think I won't say overwhelming, but the majority feel was also they're in kindergarten. So this passed, but only by a 55-45 vote. So, and that was it. So, any questions?
Resolution number 6, Jamie, could you clarify that? How did they end up ruling on the recommendation for a school committee member to be part of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed?
It's on the Board of Elementary and Secondary Ed.
Not the department.
It was not, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was unanimous for it, and also amend it by striking the law that prohibits school committee educators and licensed educators.
Questions? Great, thank you, Jamie. Next, we have the superintendent's report.
So a few things in my report tonight. One of the things that I did want to report out on was prior to this meeting, I was coming from Tewksbury where the girls played in the semifinals volleyball tournament, and they won the tournament 3-0. So they will be going on to the finals. So congratulations to them. The 2 games that I saw, they worked hard and they played hard. So congratulations to them. So I also was down at the conference, and I have to tell you, to some degree, it was a little overwhelming because there were so many different things to choose from in terms of breakout sessions. You could go to everything from school law to financing to difficult conversations to emotional needs of students. The list went on and on and on and on and on. My very favorite session that I went to was on building teacher leadership, because it coordinates directly with our district strategy, and there were so many tidbits of information that I got from it, just in terms of what needs to be in place, empowering the teachers, some of the things that might stand in the way of getting teachers to stand up and share their practice. I came back and we had a subcommittee for the Linfield Curriculum Council, which is the group of educators who really lead the learning in our district. It's comprised of all of the principals, it's comprised of all of the department heads and all of the curriculum directors. And the subcommittee, which is Kevin Sear, the assistant principal at the high school, Jen Device, the principal at Summer Street School, and Mickey Shanklin, the assistant principal at the middle school, we all came together and we asked the 2 curriculum directors, Kate and Katie from the middle school, to really share out the database that they're using to house all of their curriculum and all of their assessments. So that was a great example of really getting people to get up and share their knowledge. And I will be reporting out on this at another school committee meeting, but we're excited that this could be the format that we're using in terms of really helping us get that K-12 vertical articulation and really get everything that we're using in one spot, which for as long as I've been in Linfield, we've never had one thing that we get in one spot. But I digress, back to the conference. So that really prompted us to tap those two women on the shoulders to say, would you please share the practice? So the conference was a great conference. I know Dorothy was very involved in the conference. She worked very hard during the conference. Every time I saw her, she was running across the lobby to another workshop. But it was very well attended by superintendents and by school committee members. So thank you for the opportunity for letting me go to that. The other thing that I wanted to share tonight was the decision is finally here on MCAS versus Park. And as most of us would have predicted, the Commissioner Chester's recommendation for the past couple of weeks has been to go with, as we fondly call it, door number 3, which is the next generation MCAS. And so that is what the board decided that we would do. And so the test will be given in the spring of 2017. If districts this past year chose Park or MCAS, we'll stick with that for this year. By 2019, it is the hope that we would have it completely computer-based. And just so we're clear, on that first year, the board also voted to hold all districts harmless on the basis of the test scores for 2017. So I will tell you our feelings on that in Linfield. We didn't really have feelings one way or another, because our feeling was that we do a great job with our teaching. We do a great job with making sure that we have the frameworks nailed down. And as I've sat at that table presenting to school committee before, I believe that if our teaching practices are pristine, based on the frameworks, and our assessment practices are pristine, and that we're really using that assessment to drive further teaching, then at the end of the day, really, that no matter what test we use, it will really take care of itself. And so I would say that at the administrative leadership team meeting today, we talked about it. It was probably a 2-minute conversation. We said, this is what we're going to be doing. Okay, let's move on. We have almost more important things to talk about. So we're game, we're up for it, we're ready to tackle it head on when it comes our way. The new test, you should know, will be a combination of MCAS and Park questions. So it'll be interesting to see how the test actually unveils and what it actually looks like. But just, we're not the least bit worried about it in Linfield. We think that we'll do just fine. So any questions or thoughts or anything on that?
Just to clarify for anyone at home, so this year we'll stick with the MCAS, and then
Yes.
next year it will be door number 3.
Yes.
Without any
Without any
consequence,
choices,
yeah.
right. So everybody in the
Right.
state next year will do next generation MCAS.
Okay, and then by 2019, it'll be test
All
taken on the
computer-based.
test.
Mhm.
Okay.
And they did this first year of Park, the districts that did Park, there was just do no harm, is that what it was called, or they couldn't go down for their accountability levels?
That was last year.
For this previous year, is that continuing this year, or is that?
I don't think so.
I think this year it counted, because this was the second year of Park administration.
So you saying
So-
2015?
I think
Spring of
that's right.
2015, it
Right,
counted.
right,
Yes, that's right.
Right. It was the year before that, because it was a 2-year test drive. It's been confusing.
It has been confusing, right. But, so suffice to say, spring of 2016, if districts did Park, they did Park. We will continue to do MCAS. 2017, everybody in the state will do new generation MCAS.
And that new generation MCAS, you had mentioned frameworks, but it's also Common Core standards.
The
Right,
Common
so it's
Core
not
is part
of
of
the
the framework, so
Right,
it's
clarification.
Massachusetts state
Yeah,
frameworks,
thank you.
right, right.
And as far as the computer implementation, I'm assuming that it's a cloud-based scenario where, like, the Chromebooks and such will be sufficient for taking the tests on?
So when we did the test pilot, remember we did it at the high school and we did it at the middle school. They used, I believe they used the iPads for that.
Okay.
I'm guessing here that by the time we get to 2019, you'll be able to take it on pretty much any device that your district has. That's what I would assume. Again, I'm not worried about that for our district so much. We will make do. We'll figure it out. Some of the districts who, you know, have 10 Chromebooks throughout the whole district, that's going to be an issue.
Right, right.
Say that again? Right, exactly.
That's right.
So it won't
Exactly.
it won't be device driven necessarily. It's just that the format, as long as there's
I'm
access to the
assuming that's
internet and the
it.
web, it's
Right,
won't be
I'm
device
assuming
driven
that.
necessarily.
Okay. That's your.
That's it.
All right, great, thank you. The next item is public participation. Seeing and hearing none, we'll move to the next 10 matters for action. So we have the field studies trip to Spain and Italy is our action item.
Move to approve the field studies trip to Italy and Spain from April 15th through April 23rd, 2016.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, excellent. The motion passes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, excellent. Thank you all for coming tonight.